go over, like, we're just now starting to go over, we're running a little behind on things, so we're just now starting to go over everything. We'll go over, you know, all of my brake handles. I'll end up taking all up, clean all the dust, dirt, inspect everything.
Yeah, that's how we left you with a 572 at Palm Beach International Raceway. But guys, not only is it a lot of work at the racetrack, it's a lot of work back at the shop. And I wanted to give you a glimpse of what these Top Fuel motorcycle teams, at least the Spiderman, does in between races. As you can see, the motorcycle is quickly torn down, and Steve McBride is back at work. Steve, what are you doing over here?
Cleaning.
And people probably don't realize how much cleaning there is just from one test session, huh?
Well, when you clean every inch of your motorcycle, you find cracks and stuff that you wouldn't find if you didn't clean the damn thing.
So you're not only cleaning, you're inspecting.
I am.
Here's the big question for you. Has your heart recovered from your brother going 572 and dropping you to your knees in Palm Beach Raceway?
Oh, yeah. It'll all be good.
Good. And you guys got a big season coming up, a lot of races. Steve, what else do you have to do in between races? What takes up the bulk of your time?
This motorcycle.
I mean, everything. Everything needs looked at, right?
Everything has to be checked.
Everything. Wow, Steve, 265! 265!
Ain't too shabby.
Guys, and here's a look at the workshop. This is where so many of the one-off custom parts are made. Engine service is a big deal. Let's see if we can catch up with the Spiderman and see what he's doing with the engine department. And guys, if you have any questions or anything, leave them down below in the comments. We'll try to answer them. And there is brother number 2, the 20-time champion, the world record holder, the one and only Spider-Man, Larry McBride. Thank you for letting us in this shop once again. We just wanted to give everybody a follow-up here. You're coming off of an incredible test session, a return to the sport, 6 runs down at Palm Beach, and there's a lot to be done, isn't there? What do you have to do here in between races?
Well, I mean, everything has to come apart. All the engines have to come apart. Of course, be inspected. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just inspecting all the bearings. Already washed them, cleaned them all up, and just double checking and inspecting the bearings, making sure everything's all good. Everything looks really good. Can't complain about the main bearings at all. So just getting ready to, you know, install them and get this motor together. And you know, start on the next one. Right?
It's just an incredible amount of labor. So just for 6 passes, how many hours would you guess you have in rebuilding the motorcycle, rebuilding the engines to get it ready for the next race?
Well, you're going to have, to get everything ready, you're going to have 95 to 100 hours, I would say, easy, of inspecting everything. Now, we go over things and do things a little different than a lot of people do. You know, Steve's over there now, you know, he's actually cleaning at the same time inspecting all the wells. That's why we do the cleaning on the bike. You know, some people say, hey, your motorcycle's too clean. Well, it's too clean because we go over every weld on the motorcycle, look at everything. We take the brakes off. You know, I've got the rear brake sitting over here on the bench that I'm going to go through, that we just went through. It's only got 6 runs on it, but we'll go through it again, making sure that everything's in tip-top shape. And, you know, so you go back out there and make sure everything's safe.
Well, that's a good way to stay after it. I got to ask you this. What's the biggest area of attrition for the engine? We ran mainly 8th mile down at Palm Beach. We know you stayed in the throttle a little long on that 572 where you gave us all a little jolt, but what's the biggest area of attrition here?
Pistons and valves. Not so much pistons. We do hurt pistons.
Is this a set of used pistons over here?
Yeah, this set of used pistons.
Okay.
And these pistons are still in.
So show me what you're looking for here.
Well, we're just looking for no death on the piston, okay? And these don't, they've got some scuff marks on it, but that's just normal, okay? That's just normal wear. The pistons themselves look really good. Unfortunately, the cylinders that we run are great cylinders. They're LA sleeve material. It's all ductile iron material, great sleeves, but unfortunately the rings are harder than the sleeve. So what happens is the rings kind of eat up the sleeve. We can't get the rings that we, it's one thing that's been really crazy in this crazy world now. Piston rings are getting hard to get. I mean, you can get total seals and things like that, get special made rings, but in our our nutrition, we had them. If we had them make us tool steel top rings, they're still hard. They're still going to eat the thing, and they're $60 a piece. Okay, where we can buy a whole set of these for $30.
So those pistons right there, after testing, are they junk or will they run again?
No. We'll just recycle them.
Okay.
We'll go through. We'll recheck the pin bore. We did have to hone the cylinder. We make our pistons in 0.005 increments, and like I start out at 10 thousandths under an 83 millimeter bore. So we have we start out at 3-inch 258, and then we go to a 3, then we can hone cylinder back to a 263 piston, then back to a standard 83 268. Then we can go from 268 to 273, 273 to 278, 278 to 283, and then from 283 to 288. And then we stop at 288 because you can't get rings. You just can't, to keep the rings, in that area, so we can get the right end gap and things like that. We can't go any larger than that for what rings that are available. Back in the day, we used to run ductile moly rings, which we really loved because you ate up the rings, but you didn't eat up the cylinder walls. And nowadays, we're right back to, eating up the cylinder walls. And it comes from because now we have to run these are actually a chrome top ring and actually a cast iron second ring, but the top ring's what really hurts the pin. You kind of gouges the top of the cylinder out a little bit on the thrust side of the cylinder. So nutrition is, it's not bad. The sleeve's not backwards. Like I say, you go through so many bores on them because we have so many different pistons. But we'll save these pistons, mark them as good, and go through them. We'll check everything. We hadn't went over these 100% yet, and make sure all the ring lands are good. Everything feels good. I just hadn't washed this particular setup real good and looked at them completely. We got one here that we probably won't reuse because of all that scuffing at the ring land. We probably will not reuse that piston. So this one will go in the scrap bin. This one will go in the good bin. This one here is going to go in the scrap bin.
Oh. See,
so just in this one will go. So we have one good piston out of these that we would reuse. Yes. Could you reuse this piston? Yes, you could. Would we reuse this piston? No.
No.
Could you? Yes. If you had no dollars to do anything with, yes. Could you get by with it if we didn't have none? If we didn't have anything else to run, yes, we could run that.
But the pursuit of world records is not just getting by, is it? It's
No.
making sure everything is top notch.
And then these are all the new pistons here. These are, Bill Miller Engineering makes the pistons for me and makes a great deal. And this is one of our newer styled pistons that we run with no oil return holes in the oil ring. We run all the oil down the skirts with these little grooves that's cut in them. We don't run any return holes out of the oil ring where normally the cylinder wall is oiled from the holes that's in the back of this piston here. Okay, these don't have the grooves on them. And they're normally, like I say, normally oils the cylinder from the holes here to the oil ring. We still use some of these pistons because we still have them in stock and they still work good. They just don't work quite as well as this piston does here because it reverts all of the oil now off the cylinder wall. It reverts it right onto the skirt and tries to help keep the piston a little bit more sturdy. In our pistons here, as you can see, are quite a bit thicker. We have them made a little bit thicker so the piston stays a little bit straighter. We don't seem to collapse the pistons near as bad.
thanks for giving us an inside look. This is just a small taste of what Larry has to do with his engines to get him ready. Oh, we forgot about the head. How about a lot of work in here, huh?
Well, this is a Vance and Heinz head that Vance and Heinz makes for us, and it's a special made deal for Top Fuel. It's just extra strength in the head. It's still a cast head. It's not a billet head, but it's an excellent head. Super strong. Byron made it a lot stronger for us. And this here's got all new exhaust valves, all new Inconel exhaust valves.
Now, you were having a problem with exhaust valves for a long time, and that's why you were changing motors every single run.
Right. Well, we changed from stainless to Inconel, and that's really calmed the nutrition of the valves down.
Oh, good.
You pay a little bit more money. You know, they're a little bit more money, but the nutrition is definitely down on valves. So it's just that's just part of it. You know, you might only hurt one valve. You know, then again, you could hurt all four.
And 8th mile racing is a whole lot easier on parts and valves, right?
Oh God, yeah. You know, we went testing and we run, you know, made 6 passes, 1 engine. Of course, on the last pass, like I say, we carried a little too far. And,
Yeah, how good did that feel?
oh, it felt really good.
That was a way to come back, huh?
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
Poor Steve, you knocked Steve to the ground. We got video of him on the ground.
Yeah,
You trying to give him a heart attack?
Well, you know, it felt pretty good, and you know, it was going a little bit to the center line, but we still was in pretty good control. So, just you know, thing was pulling really hard in the middle, and you know, I didn't think it run 0572, but it did. So, at only 220 miles an hour, so it was a quite impressive pass. We really got the bike working really good in the middle, and Steve's done a great job. Him and Roe, Chuck and John and Bill all work great together. So just working on a lot of new stuff, and we had a lot of new stuff in testing, new clutch controller, and Steve literally spent probably, with no exaggeration, setting up the new clutch controller. He's probably had 35 to 40 hours in it.
Wow.
We had to build our own little flow bench to be able to flow the clutch controllers to match the new one with our old one. As close as we possibly could. And Steve did all that, and it took him about a week from, so he's got at least 40 hours in it. And you know, we had to build them, you know, had to buy some parts, and we actually used a hot water tank bladder that you can buy, that if you wanted instant hot water at your house, a little bit more pressure, you can have more pressure with these bladders. So we used this bladder, and it worked out really good. It did the job. It's you know, it's not something that you wanted to spend a ton of money on to go out to do. So we just did it economical way, which in the end result came out the same, because you know, we measured it. You know, you measure it all in cc's. So if you turn something on for this long and it runs this many cc's through there, that's what it's doing. It don't matter what it is, because you keep the pressure constant. You know, the pressure's exact. So it takes a little bit of time, but that's what we do. And then this is another engine that we're.
You got a lot of customers between Dave Vantine. And...
Yeah. Well, Vantine, we do all of his stuff, all of his motor stuff. And their motors to our motors are identical. I mean, I've actually loaned him one of my motors in the past, and they go the same. I build them the same. They got the same parts in them. It's with these things here, it's all about the tuning, getting the clutch right, the fuel system right, getting your blower overdrive right, your ignition timing. So it's mainly all due into tuning. All of my stuff, you know, the bearings I've got in this particular motor here, we've got a few bearings that don't look, you know, very good. And a lot of time it's just the bearing. It's not nothing that we did wrong. It might be hard to see in the video, but it starts pulling the material off of the bearing, okay? And that's not from lack of oil or anything like that. That's from the bearing coming apart. And we run these bearings here are just stock BMW automotive bearings.
Wow.
We like them because they're pretty hard bearings, but you do get them. We get some flaking here on this bearing here. It's might be hard to see in the video, but this is what happens. It's nothing, like I say, it was nothing from oil. There was no oil consumption that really created that problem. All the other bearings look pretty good. We're we've got to replace a couple here and there. We don't, very seldom do we ever have to put a whole set of bearings in them. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Because you're looking at a production bearing, you know, automotive production bearing. Unfortunately, that's all we can get. But they work excellent. We have very, very little, knock on wood, we have very little bearing problems, but we stay on top of our oil system and make sure that everything, the oil pumps are, you know, at tip-top shape, and, you know, oil tanks are at the tip-top shape, and you're not sitting there running that's why you can't run the oil more than one pass, because there's so much dilution of nitro in the oil, then it'll wash the bearings out. You know, like I say, this particular motor here's got 6 runs on it, so we were really happy with the way it looked.
Well, it's really cool to even see how you work. You're so organized, you're so clean. I'm sure a lot of people are watching this right now, getting some ideas. Organization and cleanliness, that means a lot when you're putting together high-performance motors, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and it keeps you from forgetting anything. And that's what you don't want to do is make sure you just got to pay 100% attention to everything. I like to lay everything out and inspect all my bolts, and you know, the best we can by eye. You can't see everything. We don't x-ray everything. I wish we could x-ray certain things, but you know, we inspect all the crankshafts. We inspect all of the crank gears on the crankshaft, and we'll use a spray dye to make sure there's no cracks or anything like that. It would be nice to have a really nice Magnaflux machine that we could actually check everything, you know, every time we took it apart, but unfortunately it's pretty costly for one. So we just kind of do the best we can with what we have, but we make sure we inspect every one of them. So these are made by Marine Cranks, and it's the same material that they make the Top Fuel car cranks out of, and he does an excellent job of building these things to Steve's specifications, and so far so good, and we like his workmanship. So we're definitely not going to go anywhere. Keep him making our cranks, and unfortunately crankshafts now, you know, they've went up about 35%.
Everything going up. Tough for you racers.
Yeah.
Tough for everybody out there.
Everything.
Especially not good for racing, where we need a whole lot of diesel fuel to get there.
You know, these pistons here, or this one here, you know.
What pass is that from, do you know?
You know, well, we don't know exactly which pass. This was probably from the last pass.
There's the 572.
Yeah, well, we're not 100% sure, but
well worth
we're
it,
sure,
though, right?
we're sure that we heard it because we carried. We didn't really have the bike rich enough. We didn't really have it set up to run the full quarter of a mile as far as the fuel system, because we had a bunch of new stuff on it, and you know, it kind of hammered the piston a little bit. The oil ring's a little tight, so we know that it crushed the ring lands a little bit. So this is another one for the junk pile.
Hey, I bet a lot of people watching this video right now wouldn't mind an autographed Larry Spiderman McBride piston. You should save those, bring them to the races, because I can tell you right now, I see John Force doing it.
I need another truck.
That's true. You might need another truck for all these parts.
Yeah.
But let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Who would want that as a souvenir? That'd look pretty cool on the coffee table.
Yeah. But they're pretty, you know, you heard this piston here is definitely, you could definitely use this one again for sure. You know, you can see what it does. It eats up the piston rings. Hard, like I say, it's going to be hard to see it in the video, but it eats up it eats up the face of the piston ring. So it's, you know, say you could use this piston again. Like I say, I hadn't did the final checkings on it, but it's I'm sure it's going to be good. This one here is marginal, but it's something that is a runner if you didn't have anything else to run. We generally try to keep all the pistons fresh. I'm pretty picky on what we do with you know, with the pistons, you know, what they look like, because ring seal is very important to us and any other racer. You know, ring seal is probably one of the most important things that, you know, that we have, that we need to seal up. And same thing, that's what your pro stock cars, pro stock motorcycles, you know, they got to have good ring seal. And that's why when we work on that too, we wish we could get a little different ring, but we got what we got, so we just have to deal with it.
Well, it's incredible attention to detail that makes you a world record holder. Let's take a quick look at the motorcycle real quick and look at some of the things that you have to stay after in between runs. Yeah, and keep in mind, that's just the engines. Let's take a walk over to the motorcycle and see what the Spider-Man has to inspect each and every time out. Stevie, your brother's one bad dude out there, huh?
Whoa! That was a little hairy, but he didn't back out too much. He did feather it.
He was on like 4 inches of tire. Yeah. Look at the mark. Yeah, you can see the mark all the way to the right.
The first thing that we do is brakes are very, very important.
And you have talked a lot about the carbon brake
Yeah,
here.
this is carbon brake pads. These pads here, I don't know if we mentioned it in the last deal. This is $300 for this set of brake pads.
Wow.
Okay. So they're starting to they're starting to get a little wear. What we're going to do, we'll put different wear plates. Well, I should say wear plates, actually spacer plates that we'll put in here, so the pistons in the caliper don't come out so far. Like I say, Steve took this off earlier and said, "Hey Larry, we got to, we need to do this. And I said, "Well, sit over on my bench and I'll get her done." So that's what he did. And we run quick releases on our brakes so we can pull our calipers off and put everything back on without having to re-bleed everything. And then on the motorcycle, over here, I mean, it's just maintenance after maintenance after maintenance. On the motorcycle, and basically, we go over, like, we're just now starting to go over. We're running a little behind on things, so we're just now starting to go over everything. We'll go over, all of my brake handles. I'll end up taking clean all the dust, dirt, inspect everything. We got to inspect the front wheel. Like I say, Steve's, just cleaning up some stuff right now, and inspecting the wells on the chassis. That's the biggest issue, just keeping everything checked. And
Is that something you found throughout your career? Do you find stress fractures from time to time on a motorcycle?
You do. You don't generally, not generally on the. Occasionally, you'll find an exhaust pipe bracket that might be cracked. In general, on the frame itself, we don't really ever see anything wrong with it, but we still inspect it because you just don't ever know. When you're making this much power, you want to make sure that everything's 110%. We inspect all of our wheels, all of our brakes, all of our brake, everything. I mean, there's not one thing that we don't go over to make sure, that it's right. You inspect the throttle cables, all the spark plug wires, because you get oil out of these motors and then it blows back on stuff. And as we know, electrical don't like oil, so
Yes.
So we make sure everything's spotless when we get to the racetrack, and we inspect all of our lines, and a visual inspection. We don't generally have a problem with them, but we visually inspect everything and do the best we can with what we have. Inspect the injector, and then you check all of your. We don't run many jet cans anymore, but we still run some stuff that we have to inspect to make sure that it works properly. We have poppet nozzles that you got to check the springs and things like that in. So.
Well, it's amazing, the attention to detail, the preparation. Does it surprise you at all that some of your contemporaries have tried to race at this level and have simply worked on their bike at the track? They'll put it in the trailer, they'll bring it back. You just can't do that at this level, right?
Well, no, I mean, you can, I guess, if that's what you want to do, but you're gonna have a hard time winning races and hard time setting records. You want it, your motorcycle, when you get to the racetrack, you want it to be 100%. You want it ready, even though when we get to the track, we generally, the bike is ready to go, but we generally, we'll pull the body off of it. Roland and Chuck and Charlie will give it a second over from tip to stern, just to make sure that by any chance that Steve and I miss anything, so we just give it a good double check and just make sure everything's up to par. That's what we do. I mean, it's to run Top Fuel. It's a lot of maintenance.
And having a guy over here that you can count on, such as your brother, that's just invaluable, isn't it?
Well, we don't go to the beach, so too old now. So we kind of stay. We've always kind of took our racing seriously.
Steve, that's probably more enjoyable what you're doing now than going to the beach, right?
To me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's passion, a lot of passion here. A lot of hard work, but a lot of passion, right?
Well, it all depends on what you want to do. Some people love going fishing. I don't. So, I mean, and I envy them if they like that. That's what you want to go out there and sit in a boat and for hours and hours and throw the rod and catch a fish and pull it in and drink a beer. That's fine. I mean, that's just not what I want to do. And then I'm sure they say the same thing about me. Oh man, I wouldn't do that. But it takes talent. One of my good friends is a very talented fisherman, so does very good in tournaments and things like that. Wins tens of thousands of dollars in fishing tournaments. So, but it's all in what you want to do. That's why America is such a great place to be. If you want to race motorcycles, you want to race cars, you want to race go-karts, you want to race Top Fuel cars, funny cars, you want to play baseball, football, basketball, volleyball. I mean, we have all the options, and you can kind of pick what you want to do.
Yes, we do, and it's going to be a very exciting season. I wanted to touch on this briefly because you had a great long run with Man Cup, Pro Star, all these sanctions. Well, it's a renaissance this year. Midwest Drag Racing Series. You're also going back to Norwalk Night Under Fire. We also understand that NHRA, the deal we tried to put together a couple years ago before coronavirus had other plans. But you're in demand, so many places. How exciting is that for you to overcome these health issues?
It's great. It's just unfortunately, it's going to be hard to do everything because not only did certain organizations have got hurt during the coronavirus in 2020, so they're still in recovery mode. Some businesses boomed during this. Unfortunately, drag racing did not boom. So we were hurting. NHRA was hurting. Man Cup was hurting. Pretty much all of them. XDA, all of the tracks, they couldn't race. So I mean, there's no income coming in, then you can't have it. Then you're still paying, employees to be there. And and I'm excited about this year running the deal with Mitch Brown, and Todd Martin, and of course Sam Wheels, Chris Hand.
Some Top Fuel Harleys, hopefully.
We got some Top Fuel Harleys. Red Ray with Mark Connor riding is going to come to the races. We've got some other.
Love those guys.
We got Micah. I think Mike's going to try to make a couple of races. That new bike that John Allwine and Chris built, which is a beautiful machine and run really good. I think he run out and tested. I think he run a 4.0 something. So that's pretty good. He hadn't ridden a bike in years, so the bike went good and straight. I watched the video, so I'm very excited for him to be coming out. And we've got some good opportunities. The worst part I'm hating is the travel that we're going to have to do for the Midwest Drag Race deal.
You're Virginia based, so
yeah,
you'll be logging some miles.
Well, yeah, it's 900 miles there, and it's 900 miles back, so that's 1,800 mile trip. So you're looking at $2,000, 2,100 in diesel fuel minimum.
Hopefully we get some relief somewhere on the horizon with these fuel prices.
We sure hope so, but I don't see it happening. No, I don't see it happening before we leave here on the 19th.
No, so, that's not happening.
We're looking forward to all of it. August 6th, Night of Fire, Norwalk, Ohio.
That's going to be a great show.
That's going to be a great deal, and I'm looking forward to the Man Cup in November.
Yep.
We would love to have been able to support the Man Cup this year, but unfortunately they have a 3-bike minimum rule, which is I ain't saying it's a bad rule, good rule, or whatever it is. What it is, you got to deal with it. And that's one of the reasons I didn't go to Orlando was nobody else was going. So why, I just go, I can, rent a racetrack and run whenever I want to and spend the exact same amount
No
of
doubt.
money.
That's a long trip for you too. So every
Well,
decision to leave home, I'm sure, is calculated at this point.
Right, and I would love to continue to run the Man Cup, all of the events, but unfortunately it was not cost effective. We don't, the money that we used to get, we're not getting what we used to get. People's cut back, some people's pulled out. So you've got, so they can regroup and get going, and then they'll come back. But, I'm still friends with a lot of people. So it's just one of them things we've got to kind of deal with and regroup with. And I feel sure that Jay Regan is, working on, trying to regroup and redo his stuff, I would hope, and try to get, us back at all of the events. But bottom line, I'm still looking forward to going in November. I do believe now, and there's just strictly rumor, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but there is rumor that Jaska is going to be bringing his bike over here.
Cool. Just saw him in Gainesville. He's excited. My fellow Finn. He wants to come run with you guys. So.
Yeah, and I think he wants to do some of the Midwest drag race stuff, and of course do the Man Cup at the end of the year. So, we could have a big field in November at the Man Cup. So, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a real big event for Jay, so he can keep the organization going. For me, it's I have Roland and Chuck and Charlie and John. That's pretty much fly-in people. Charlie does drive to most of the races, but you still got it. Hotels, car rentals, and I've got a great crew, so. I refuse to run without my crew. And we got some other great things coming on this year. It looks like we're working with OCC again on the electric.
Nice.
Bike. So that's going to be pretty cool.
I see that. Electric's all the rage. I talked to Steve Huff. Yeah. He said he felt like he was 3 years too soon. You were about 10 years too soon. But now, what a hot topic. Electric has become maybe a marketing opportunity for you guys with all the motorcycle manufacturers going to electric and you still holding the speed record. You had it tied with Steve until a couple weeks ago down in Orlando.
Yeah, I think the people from Finland.
They got the ET record, True Cousins. Big shout out to them.
Yeah, they did a good job.
2:01.37. Even to this day, we're talking 10 years later. Up until a few weeks ago, you were tied with Steve Huff, fastest electric vehicle ever.
Or I'd say he was tied with me.
There you go. You did it first, right?
Yeah. He must have been. He was tied with me.
He'll give you the nod on that.
But as far as I'm concerned, I don't try to compare ourselves to four wheels. We're two wheels.
Well, what do you think about this? I got a question for you since you brought it up. Okay, we know we love gas. We love nitro. That's not going anywhere. Steve Huff, who's got an incredibly technologically advanced dragster, he's actually getting booed because it seems like electric has become such of a political issue. He's out there with Big Daddy Don Garlitz trying to go 200 miles an hour, and he's like, man, why are people booing me? It's because right now a lot of people are rejecting electric vehicles.
Well, electric will never replace us, okay? It'll never replace a piston engine. They can say what it's not in our lifetime, I can tell you that. I don't care if they take gas to $10 a gallon, it's not going to replace it. They have not got the infrastructure to make it happen, okay?
That's exactly what Don Garlitz said.
They just don't have it. We don't,
he said, "Don't panic."
We'll just take a city in New Jersey where they have the what do they call them, row houses or whatever. They're almost stacked on top of each other. You couldn't get a pack of cigarettes in between each house, and they all park on the street. What they all don't do? Run extension cords to their cars? Come on, man.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
We don't have people don't have their houses are not set up for it. We don't have the infrastructure, period. And then what are you going to do? You want to go to Florida? Well, yeah, I'm going to Disney World, but I want to be there on the 15th of the month, so I got to leave the 1st because it's going to take me 14 days to get there. After 900, I can only go 100 miles, and then I got to stop and charge my car up. So it ain't going nowhere.
We got a ways to go. That's what scares me about the Live Wire. I think it's a great bike. I'd love to ride it. As far as going on a long trip and looking for charging stations and mapping that out, that doesn't seem too appealing to me right now.
Well,
But
what are they going to do with all the old batteries? Ain't nobody talked about that, do they? They're talking about all the, emissions that we're putting out into the air with these. How about the junk that these batteries are put out? What are they going to do? What are they going to? People are recycling batteries and grinding them up, but there's a lot of people that ain't. Okay, what are you going to do? You go buy a, let's say you go buy a $250,000 Tesla, and you decide you're going to keep it for 10 years. Now your batteries are bad, and it's going to cost you $150,000 to replace the batteries.
it's a lot to consider, that's for
So,
sure. Ever-changing world and a lot to consider.
Right. I mean, if you bought a car battery lately, they're not cheap, okay?
No.
Motorcycle batteries, car batteries, everything's gone up. So, the electric deal's pretty cool. I know I enjoyed it when we did it. It was pretty neat. It was kind of silent to be able. It was so quiet.
Yeah, you and Steve could talk to each other. You didn't need headsets. You didn't need.
Man, we talked on the starting line. It was crazy.
That was great. Well, it'd be really
and
cool
it was
to see you
great
guys
doing
do
it with
again.
OCC and coming back now with Paul Senior's going to be involved again.
So he's still very interested in this, huh?
Yeah, he's
That's
still
pretty
interested.
cool.
So he's living down in Florida now, where
Yes,
it's
he is.
warm. He decided to get down to that cold weather up north, and
He loves his drag racing.
Yeah, so it ought to be a pretty good deal. Still working with Sean Lawless, the guy that owns the electric bike. Lawless Industries.
Wheel in the air.
He does all the Disney floats. He's been in electronics, electrics for a long, long time. As we know, everything at Disney is all electric. So, I'm looking, that's the, it's great. I just think it's cool right now.
It is. It's cool, and that's I appreciate it. I'm not saying I'm for electric cars or anything, but when I see Steve Huff get booed, I'm like, that's a little harsh. We know how much of his life he's dedicated towards that, and Big Daddy Don Garland's saying it's pretty cool. At least gives it that rub that how can you boo Big Daddy, right? If Big Daddy thinks it's cool.
Yeah.
And Big Daddy straight up said like you. He said, "Don't worry, gas isn't going anywhere. We don't got the infrastructure right now to go all electric."
We better fix our roads and bridges before we start worrying about electric cars, okay?
The electric grid won't even take it.
Yeah, right now, yeah. Our electric grid needs major build up. Right now, if every person in America had an electric car, how would they all charge them?
Do you think Washington, D.C. is going to pay for all them charging stations? So you can pull up there and charge your car for free? That ain't going to happen.
The end result is
Maybe we'll get that 18-wheeler outside electric. At least that would save you some diesel, right? That wouldn't be bad, huh?
Yeah,
you
but
charge that baby
I'm going to
up.
tell you right now, I was talking to a gentleman earlier, and matter of fact, I was talking to Bill Miller earlier. He says, name me one part on any electric vehicle that ain't hauled by a tractor trailer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lot to
right
consider.
down to the machinery, to the parts, to the building that they built the building to build the cars into, the machinery that they brought in to build. I guarantee you they didn't have an electric car bring the machinery in, okay? So I think electric cars are cool. I think they're great. I think it's going to be it's a thing of the future. Is there room for them in drag racing? I think so. I mean, I would accept them. I mean, I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, Dave Vance. All right, we got to let you take this call. That's a very important phone call.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap this thing up in a second. We'll let you take the call. But, man, is this an awesome inside look or what? And I do appreciate you guys watching all of our interviews, all of our inside shop tours. That's what we try to do. We try to take you inside the sport, but we really want to see you out at one of these races live. So we'll get the schedule posted on cycledrag.com, also down below. And come on out and see us and make sure you say hello. Maybe you get one of those autographed Pistons. How cool would that be? Well, one more other item of business I want to show you, not just the motorcycle, but also the transporter. Well, guys, Larry's the common man, okay? If you haven't pieced that together yet, yeah, he's got a lot of resources, but it's not like a cleaning lady comes in or professional cleaners come in to service and disinfect this trailer after a long race weekend. It's another one of the things that he has to do. Well, Larry, this has been awesome. Thank you for this behind-the-scenes, inside look. And it really never ends. How about this truck and trailer that needs cleaned every single time and serviced and tires inspected?
Oh yeah, it's kind of jumped up right now. Little things just kind of a little out of shape here and here, but I had to come out here and thought it'd be nice for everybody to see in here and just get some little spacer places that we got to put in that. We talked about the brakes earlier, and these go in there just so our pistons don't come out so far. So I got to put some little new spacer plates in it. And of course, the next thing that we have to do is get down here and get this thing cleaned up and reorganized, and service everything. Thank God I've already filled the mule up with fuel, and everything's pretty much ready there. The truck's full of all the oil for the bike, and it's now just mainly of getting down here and getting the inside. It's not that bad, but you're talking a few hours.
It's going to be a big season. I can't wait, guys. It's going to be really exciting.
Can't wait. Look forward to it, and we sure do appreciate Cycle Drag stopping in and seeing us.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Last thing I got to ask you about, too, this is a great follow-up to the video we did down in West Palm. How much does Top Fuel motorcycle cost? You did an excellent job with that, and please watch the video if you haven't. Now, as you told me, though, I'm used to negative comments. You said if somebody can leave a negative comment on a clothespin, they can leave it on anything. We had 98% positive comments, but there were about 3 or 4 people out there that were mad. We didn't say exactly how much money you get from sponsors, and I'm here to tell you, I don't think a racer is ever going to reveal that info. It's kind of like asking for the guy's paycheck, right?
That's the way I look at things, and I'm not going to disclose how much that my sponsors are giving me. I mean, because it's nobody's business but mine.
That's right, and I don't think you'll get mad at me for saying this part of it, but I'm sure you'll agree with this. That can go up and down and fluctuate in a hurry. Some years might be good. Some years coronavirus comes in.
Well, I can tell you, 2021, we actually, we're still in recovery. 2020 coronavirus hurt me a lot and hurt some of our sponsors, and hurt the income of the money coming in. Then 2021, I had knee surgery, and then a bunch of sickness, had appendectomy, and then just things, all kind of things going on, stomach sickness and inflammation, just all. So I didn't get to race at all. So I didn't have any income other than what we could do here at the shop on our racing stuff that we do. We do very little street work. We still do some stuff here and there, but we don't do that. Mainly 99% of our stuff is all race stuff now. So it's it definitely hurt us, and I think it's unfair for somebody to want to know what somebody makes.
Comments.
I mean, it's just like me coming up to you and saying, "Hey, how much money you make?" It's really none of my business.
That's right.
How do you pay for that $80,000 truck? That's none of my business. I don't care.
That's right.
So,
I don't think John Force is ever going to tell you exactly what he's bringing in sponsorship-wise, right?
No, and my deal, like I say, our deals fluctuate because, I'm paid on, performance too. I go out and set records. I get, a little extra money. I'm number 1 qualifier. I get a little extra money. I set a speed record. I get money. I set an ET record. I get money. So if I qualify number 2, I don't get no extra money. So it does go up and down. And the same thing how it works with my guys. They're all on bonus programs. Mm-hmm. So, which is nothing. We don't give Roe and Chuck nothing. No, I'm just kidding. But everything, it varies, and your costs vary now so much, from plane tickets and things like, we do okay. We don't, we're not living in, $1.5 million, $2 million homes. I live in just a regular, normal, little old $250,000, $300,000 house.
Amen. And that's my point, to give people the snapshot there is, without revealing everything, yes, this is very expensive, but clearly you're not sleeping in a bed of $1 million bills, and there's a reason why you're the guy out here cleaning this trailer, is you're cutting corners where you can.
Well, we don't have the money to pay somebody to come in here to do it. I'm out here washing, before we went in February, it's 35 degrees outside, and I'm out here washing this trailer because it's been sitting here since 2020. Mm-hmm. So I'm out here on a ladder freezing my butt off in 35 degree weather, and the only thing I got to warm my hands up was hot water that was in the bucket. So
did we mention you gotta love it? He loves it. And
I service my own truck, my tractor trailer. I change all the oil, all the filters, all the fuel filters, all the antifreeze. I do all that myself. I do all the tire servicing. I do everything myself to try to keep the expense down because it's already tragically expensive to do. And I don't care if you're racing from Pro ET to to Top Fuel, it's expensive, okay? Anything we do. I mean, my granddaughter plays volleyball, and she travels on a team, and it's very, very expensive to do that. I mean, it's so everything we do is expensive. I don't ask my daughter at all what they make or what they spend. That's up to them. And they've got sponsors, so it's really none of my business. I'm one of their sponsors, so. But you know, I'm one of them $100 sponsors. You know, I'm not a I'm not a $5,000 sponsor.
I understand that. Well, that is our retort to those gentlemen. But 98% positive comments. They loved it. Thank you as always for giving us the inside access. Looking forward to a big season, guys. 20-time champion, 550, 265. Looking to improve this year. Thank you so much, Larry Spiderman McBride. And if you like that video, here's another one for you. Subscribe right in the middle. And you know, if there's anything fast, motorcycles or Top Fuel, we're in. Cycle Drag rolls on. And Larry, you're even on the Cycle Drag trailer. How about that?
I'm gonna tell you right, Cycle Drag, that's where it's at. If you want to watch fast motorcycles, go to Cycle Drag, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok.
You are the man. I hope you're getting a big check for that right there.